So after Gareth departs, um, Dickon lets Henry and his men refresh themselves. In an hour, you meet again. You hear Lord Dickon send his men out to retrieve his son Robin. Um, and when he lets your sister rest. She's not in the room. Return to him, and he waves you forward as he has a map outstretched in his solar. You're in his solar this time over his large desk. It's like basically stapled down on each corner. He's looking over it, and he says, "Come, join me. It's time to plan a battle."
Henry says that it is, and he walks forward and stands next to Dick to see what he has going on here.
Yeah, so he basically has these wooden blocks that probably symbolize, units, and you see three. You see a total of 4 blocks. 3 are blue, or I'm sorry, 3 are black, and 1 is red. And they're sitting atop Kingsgrave. He says,
"So the black is his." I
"Yeah,
assume.
yeah, the black is his." And he says, "Well, I don't have as many troops not as near as I used to." And he frowns deeply. But he says, "I have 2 good men, 2 good units, veterans, infantry. They'll be able to take down the mountain themselves, I wager." And he smiles. He says, "But just in case, I have a unit of archers as well. Fill the mountain up like a pincushion from afar." And his men, he can't have anything more than bandits and fools.
Henry says, "Are you accounting for my force that is here with me today?"
And he nods and, kind of like opens his hand towards the red piece, and he's like, "Of course, you will be in the thick of it with me."
Yeah, and Henry nods and he says, "Do you believe there to be time for some of my horsemen to arrive? They may not be able to fight in the mountains, but they can arrive swiftly on their steeds."
And Lord Dickon looks kind of frowning at the map, and he says, "That is one thing we must decide for certain." He's like, "I worry about the Redmanes. They likely, well, they have a head start on us for sure. This Gareth Ironbranch had 20 mounted knights with him. The Redmane steeds, if I was told correctly. I assume that they will be sending the rest or have already done so." And he frowns deeply and waits for you. Yeah, go ahead.
So Henry will say, "If the mountain will arrive too quickly, then maybe my men will not be able to make it." And then he says, "Do you believe the Redmanes will fight with us or against us in this battle? They did not seem too happy about my involvement."
Well, Lord Dickon says, he's like, "Oh, we will not fight with the Redmanes, certainly. They have no interest in involving us into their plans." He's like, "What I worry about is them finding the mountain first and defeating him and taking the glory and leaving us out in the cold."
How do you suppose we rectify that situation? Do you have any men that could find the mountain before them?
He says, "I know these mountains better than almost anyone. If anyone can find them, we can." He says, "We have the advantage that they must consolidate their troops, if it is true." Gareth Ironbranch said quite clearly that Sir Aaron remained in Redwater, and thus I am assuming not all of their forces are here yet. If we strike out now, we might be able to find them before they do. But we must not delay.
So Henry says, so that is the question then. Do we wait for my troops or do we take the mountain now? And I believe the answer to that is we take the mountain now. If the Redmanes do not wish us to be part of their glory, then we shall take all the glory for ourselves.
And Lord Dickon takes his hand and smacks it on the table, and he's like, I knew I liked you when I first spotted you walking in my keep. And he smiles and puts a hand on your shoulder and says, we will find the mountain, and we will kill him, and we will kill every man under his command. There will be no quarter. This will be a difficult fight, no doubt, but I believe we have the mettle, and I have the battle prowess to defeat them in combat.
Henry will then say, my only worry is, what if they did not tell us the true number of the mountain's force? As of now, we believe we outnumber them, but what if that is not the case?
Lord Dickon says, did he actually tell us the number?
He said 300
Okay.
fighting men.
Okay. Lord Dickon says, I can tell a liar when I see one. I do not believe he was lying about that. He could have been withholding information. I couldn't say. If they've come here, certainly they are going to the other notable houses in the Dornish Marches. Or, I'm sorry, not the Dornish Marches. The Red Mountains. He's like, there is House Fowler and others. House Will, he named.
Would they rather fight alongside you? Or, oh no, I guess I remember. He said they were also people that fought for the Queen, correct?
Yes. Here in the Red Mountains, it is only I and the Danes of High Hermitage, which, well, after Dark Star's departure, are no friendlier than the House Dane of Starfall. Like, it is I and I alone in these mountains that backed Quentin Martell.
Then it is only you alone who showed true honor.
And he doesn't really respond to that. He just kind of looks.
It's a compliment.
Yeah, he just kind of looks back down at the map and says, the glory will be ours, and House Manwoody and House Redhawk will rise together.
So, Henry will then ask, or he'll say, hold on, let me think. So in this, it is us fighting alone, and we shall gain all the glory. But other than glory, what will there be to gain of this? Recently your house was stripped of many of its men and titles. Ours, more of an up-and-coming house. Do you believe that anything will be given to us after this, as we were not part of this coalition? Not that I need it. Just curious to how to recoup our losses.
Yeah, Lord Dickon says, the coalition will be for naught if they do not kill the mountain, if they do not defeat him in battle. If it is us, we will gain the glory and the Queen's favor, regardless of our past discretions against her.
So yeah, basically that's what Henry was trying to get out of him.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't want to straight up ask, like, if we cared what the Queen thought, trying to, like, hold true
Right.
to, what he, but now that he said that, he says, indeed, the Queen's favor will be good for both of our houses, especially for a task such as this. We do not have to bend the knee, and we get great glory in killing the mountain.
And Lord Dickon says, aye, for now, for while it matters, but we must raise our strength, we must grow strong, else we will not be able to do anything in the future.
Henry nods and then says, then may our losses be few in killing the mountain.
He says, even still, I would tell your people to come. We may need to garrison my keep if I bring them all out.
So above board, how would so obviously the horsemen can make it in a decent amount of time, and probably the infantry can almost fast march pretty quick. Yep. but the ballista, how long would that just
You
take like a
you can't
normal...
move it. You can't really move it over
Okay,
mountainous
so
terrain.
right, and you would have to go through mountainous terrain to get to the keep,
Yeah,
correct?
I mean you could get to certain parts, but I that's more of a
It just wouldn't be
defensive thing.
right.
Yeah, it doesn't
Yeah.
make a
Well,
lot of sense.
he said he wanted. Yeah. So yeah, no, that makes sense anyway because I'd rather leave them with our garrison.
Yep. Yeah, so the infantry can march. Your horsemen, if you want, can dismount and march as infantry units. They can do that. So you can bring as many of your actual units. I don't think you would want to bring your engineers. You would want to keep
And
those
they would
with
fight. They would fight as regular units, correct?
Mhm.
Like they would be normal infantry.
Yeah, well, they would still have their same stats, except infantry units technically get the athletics and endurance of their horses. So if they're dismounted, they would not. Otherwise, they would be the same.
Okay. So.
And their fighting would not be animal hand. They would, I guess, more or less, they would turn into infantry units because the normal cavalry is. Yeah, go ahead.
Would I be severely limiting them, considering they're highly upgraded cavalry, by putting them on their feet?
Yeah, they would definitely not be nearly as good.
Because they can't get they don't have endurance upgrades because they have the endurance of their horse. So right there alone, they're weak. And on top of that, it's only 20 men.
Right? Yeah, it's not real clear how that works as far as are they still as good as 100 men, that sort of thing.
See, and that was my thinking.
Yeah, we can look at that offline and decide how that should work.
So Henry,
you don't have to decide right now.
Henry will say he'll send for his army. He'll send for the infantry, the archers, to garrison, and if they make it in time, help us fight his keep. And also he'll suggest, what if we recruited some levymen of sorts?
He nods and he's like, I can raise some levies. He kind of doesn't think twice about it. He's like, they should be honored to fight for House Manwoody. He's like, but my domains are smaller than they used to be, so what I will be able to pull will be not ideal, but I think that is wise.
Henry says, so he knows that Dickon's going to have to pay a little bit. So how does levies work? Sorry, you have to pay for levies?
Population. They come out of population.
Oh, okay. So there's really no way I could help here with that.
No, there's no. They pull out of population, but he seems more than willing to do that.
Yeah, well, I was just gonna maybe because I could tell them to bring possibly a levy as well, but that wouldn't really help us for this. We need the cannon fodder. So yeah, so we're cool with if he's able to get a levy unit.
He says, I will have my scouts begin looking for the mountain at once. And once we are able to determine where he is, we will move our men. Go to the attack at once.
Henry nods and he says, the perfect battle plan. I will be ready.
All right. I think that's really all we needed.
Yep. So
sweet.
We basically have the mountain. Okay, so in comparison, so he basically has 3 units, correct? 3 units of infantry is what our information tells us.
They didn't say what they were, but they just said he had 300 men.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so yeah, so he has 300 men.
Yeah, that would be 3 units if you think they're
infantry.
Yeah, if they're infantry, which cavalry doesn't really work in a lot of this mountain. There's some that's hilly instead of mountainous where you could use cavalry, but most of it is straight up mountainous, which is a terrain that cavalry cannot go over.
So an above board question: how safe is my personal guard going to keep me in the thick of this? Like they're heavily upgraded.
Right. Well, it just depends, right? It depends what Henry does, if he attaches to a unit or not. So the way warfare essentially works is there'll be one person that issues the commands to all the units, and then So that would probably be Dickon in this case. Usually the person with the highest warfare does that, and he's insisting on doing whatever. Now, if you don't attach, you can also be a sub commander and you can issue one order. So you could issue orders for your personal guard if you wanted, or whatever, right? So
with a 3 warfare and 1 in command die with that veteran personal guard, I don't think I can fail like any of the maneuvers.
Veteran personal guard. I can tell you.
I have like a +9 to my roll.
What for?
Like static for them being a veteran personal guard.
Oh yeah. So okay, hold on. Yeah, their discipline you're talking about. So yeah, a veteran personal guard, they start out at easy, and then that's a 3, and then a personal guard is actually a -6. So that's basically you get a 3 bonus to your roll. Actually, they're at 0 at that. So basically, you just have to beat a 0 to get them to move.
Right, to command them, and then most of the maneuvers are pretty decently low DCs, and
yeah, the normal ones are. So here's a couple things to keep in mind.